Good evening to Ananda. I am A.D.M, PG in Research Department of Economics. Wealth of Nations. Adam Smith, in his book Wealth of Nations, the political economy considers as a branch of science of statement or legislator proposes two distinct objectives: to provide a plentiful revenue for the subsistence for the people, to supply the state or commonwealth revenue sufficient for the public services. Criticisms of wealth economic definitions. Adam Smith and his contemporaries was not appreciated by the people at that time, as the wealth of definitions was narrowly interpreted to the extent of administration. The classical economist has taken a very narrow view of wealth, of confining it to earning and spending of money. This sense that it gives an impression as if human wants are satisfied only through earning and spending of money. Earning and spending of wealth through other activities like dancing, singing, etc. The economic aspect involving choice, satisfaction of human wants. The impressions that the end of all human activities. Professor Walrus has criticized Adam Smith and scientific equally importance of providing income for the people and the state. The two operations are distinct in the character. The aim of getting plentiful money for the people is practical expediency or the material. The wealth of and production should come first, and then only the state of equitable distributions between the individual and the state. The considered unscientific and incomplete on the above stated ground and hence discarded towards the close of the 19th century. Assessment of wealth definitions. The term wealth in Smith definition should be considered as aggregate wealth and not net wealth. According to Adam Smith, wealth gives real to man's wants and creates effective demand. The correctly interpreted find the true place given to man in the activity of earning and spending. All earning and spending of wealth is done only for the sake of man, and in the absence man we cannot deal with objectives. Wealth definition restricted in the sense that it cannot explain in the phenomenon and scarcity and the choice in a more explicit, even though can be read between lines. The human behavior in the context of multiplicity of wants and limited resources does not direct us in determining the subject matter of economics. The most appreciable points in Smith's definition idea on influence in the expressions it proposes and to enrich the people and the sovereign. The ultimate objectives of economics as a science is to fight against hunger, shortage and poverty and make the society affluent. Positive or normative science. Our discussions on the nature of economic analysis leads to controversial problem. Should economic analysis positive or normative? The two terms positive and normative, according to J.M. Keynes, a positive science means may be defined as a body of systematic knowledge. Normative science or regulative science is a body of systematic knowledge related to the criteria, the ideal as distinguished from the actual. According to Orton, the distinction between pure science and applied science. Positive statement, assertions or the theories may be simple or they may be very complex, but they are basically the disagreement positive statement or appreciably handled by an appeal of the facts. Normative statement mainly depend on value judgment, and consequently there is lot of scope disagreement ideas of good. According to Lipsy, disagreement over normative statement cannot be settled by an appeal facts. Another important distinction between positive and normative statement. Logically impossible to deduce normative statement from positive assumptions. Positive study is combined with normative thinking. In economic study will be combat the lot of confusion in inquiries. The progress of the sciences would be gravely hindered if strictly positive approach is not made. Methods of economic analysis. Economic adapts two important methods in investigations and formulations of laws: two methods and deductive method and inductive method. Deductive method is known as the analytical abstract prior method taught with certain formal data and assumptions. For instance, it is assumed that businessmen aim at maximum profit. The businessmen buy the material in the cheapest market and sell in the dearest market. The deductive method consists from three stages. First one, observation, second one, deductive reasoning, instance and testing, and another one, deductive reasoning provides with hypotheses or generalizations. Inductive method. In this method, economists proceed from a practical angel to problems of science to reduce. Inductions is done by two forms, experimentations and statistical forms. The inductive method is generally associated with the statistical form of inductions. The statistical approach has a larger field in economic investigation, the method of experimentation. It is highly practical and realistic described. It is helpful in verifying deductive methods and economics laws under this method. Static and dynamic in methodology. Static and dynamics are synonyms to stationary and change. The concept of dynamics. The definition of economic dynamics must follow from the definitions of economic statics. Economic statics. Static economics is called economics of stationary state. The various economic quantities remain the size and the composition of population are static since the force governing populations operate in such a manner, the birth rate and the death rate counterbalance and keep the population static. A static economic system may be compared to a ball rolling at a constant speed. In economic static, the discussion economic phenomena is carried in independently of the time of element. Economic static tries to establish functional relation between two variable values related to same point of time or period of time. The means the steady aim or static relationship between relevant variables, the functional relationship between price and demand, the law of diminishing marginal utility, price out analysis and a monopoly, the doctrine of comparative cost, the distributions of national income. Economic dynamics. The technique of dynamic analysis take into the consideration all changes, logs, skewness, expectations and the element of time. Dynamic analysis, there is no assumptions, all things remain the same, taking into considerations all the changes. Economic dynamics is defined in different ways by different economists. According to the Professor Harrod, dynamics is the study of an economic in which the rate of output are changing. Important factors. Time element in dynamic analysis. In static analysis, the relation between the relevant variables refers to the same point or period of time. In the relationship between relevant variables, values belong to different point of time. The dynamic analysis or the relation between certain variables. The values are refers to the different periods of time quantity of a commodity that is offered at a point in time t is considered as a dependent upon the price that prevailed at the point of time t minus 1. This is the dynamic relation. Professor Rangner Prishnow, one of the pioneers in dynamic techniques, says a system is dynamical if its behavior over time is determined functional equation in which variables at different points of time are involved in an essential way. Examples of dynamic relationship can be given if you assume that the supply of S for a commodity in the market in the given time T depends upon the price prevailing in the preceding period. That is T minus 1, the dynamic functional relation can be stated. Similarly, from macroeconomics also we can give examples conceived of dynamic relationship. Suppose the consumption of an economy in a given period of time depends upon the income in the preceding period T minus 1, the relationship can be expressed as. Macroeconomic theory, that is the theory of income, employment and growth, is given dynamic treatment. In analysis, it is called macrodynamics. The justifications for the use of dynamics lies in the fact that the economics is dynamics and it does not adjust one particular change or adjust at once to a particular change. It takes time, protections of a particular period of time. Economic dynamics is concerned with those problems connected with equilibrium, conditions involving the study of time element. It is used in the following problems: the theory of trade cycle including Coburg theorem, the theory of growth populations, the theory of interest. The theory of saving and investment, the theory of profit, Marshall concept of quasi rent. All the above problems are directly associated with the time element and such they belong to the domain of economic dynamics. Finally, it should be realized that dynamic and static method are equally indispensable in economic analysis and both are complementary for the progress of the science. Certain problems can be solved by dynamic analysis.